Welcome to Mr. Wizard's Workshop, episode 28. So this week's episode is productivity principles, and we're going to be covering number 2 in my core list of 12 principles. Last week, we covered productivity principle number 1. Reminder, kicked off the first of several episodes I'm going to dedicate to describing, explaining this group of core principles of personal productivity. And principle number 1 was everyone can be incredibly productive, which you can be incredibly productive. Post a link to last week's episode in the description of this week's workshop recording if you'd like to go review it. And this week's workshop is dedicated to principle number 2, which is managing time is actually about managing yourself. So 12 core perspective principles are the mindsets, beliefs, paradigms, patterns, mental models, which can be the foundation to build all of your detailed productivity techniques, systems, and practices on. And rather than skimming over them and trying to introduce all or most of them in workshop, I'm going to go deep with each. So this week, principle number 2 is actually about managing yourself. Stephen Covey here, his hugely popular and widely referenced book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So that you're not to manage time, but to manage ourselves. A little brief housekeeping. Live attendees are on mute. And as always, you can drop questions or comments in along the way. And at the end of the core presentation, I'll check the Q&A and open up the floor for questions, answers, and discussion. So when you try to manage time, you're trying to manage something that you don't really have direct control of. It's external to you, and everyone actually has the same amount of time, 24 hours a day. So saying to manage my time better is not a precise decision of what you really want to be doing. It's a verbal shortcut or oversimplification. And, I'm guilty of that oversimplification. If I say that I help my business clients learn how to more effectively manage their time, energy, tasks, and double their productivity and get their shit done. Now, I spent many years as a project manager for IT projects, and I'd say in the Project Management Institute and the PMBOK Project Management Body of Knowledge, they have a very project-oriented things. So I put a quote here from PMI. Management of time is critical to the successful completion of a project. Now that I'm in the coaching business, I've done even more thinking on the subject of time management, especially in the context of individual personality. So if you say, I want to learn how to manage myself better, that creates a new level of awareness. It's a reframe. So the idea, I'm going to manage myself, you're taking full responsibility. So one of the differences that I've noticed in thinking about time management in the context of project management is all the individual team members aren't fully responsible. In other words, the manager always has a responsibility to interact with them and keep things going. So managing yourself means to get control of yourself. And when you try to do that, you realize you have maybe much less control than I have initially thought. Many people drift through life. We wake up every day, do the same exact things, think basically the same thoughts, feel basically the same emotions, the same movements today. We tracks our well-worn rut. And I think we deceive ourselves by telling ourselves, I could change if I really wanted to. It's not choosing to. So I'll repeat it again. Principle number 2 is we need to manage ourselves, and it's much harder to manage ourselves than we think. So as an enlightening exercise, I'm going to recommend that you try a 36 drink only water, skip 2 or 3 meals. So you wake up nothing all day, just to bed, and then wake up the next morning and break your fast. Easy peasy, right? You're just skipping 2 meals and whatever snacks you ordinarily have. So my prediction is by the early afternoon, if not sooner, you'll start telling you all of the reasons why this is a really bad idea and why you should chow down like right now. So say hello to your monkey mind. It's a concept. The Buddha held that he filled with, it's a metaphor, drunken monkeys fleeing the branches, jumping around and chattering nonstop. So because we need to manage ourselves and because it's harder to manage ourselves than most people realize, we need a lot of help in this area if you want to really activity. The good news is there are ways to learn to manage ourselves better. There are specific mindset systems, routines, techniques, and practices. I'll use the generic term productivity technology, which make it easier to help tame that monkey mind. But step 1 is recognizing that it is a challenge and It's something you need to chill about, because either thoughts own you or you own. We need to manage ourselves. It's much harder to manage ourselves than we think, but it is doable. You can get control of that monkey mind. So the action item for this week is, give it to the, it's also called the monk fast, that 30-hour fast. Try doing it next week. So skip breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack one day, and drink all the water you want. Traditionally, you can also drink tea, although I just drink water. And as a good coach, I actually took the lead and I asked last Friday. And I actually recorded it, or I went in periodically and reported, where 8, 10, 12, so on. I hammed it up a little bit. I tried to make it fun. I did go first, and I'll put the link to that recording today. I'll put the link in the description. So if you choose to give this a try, observe yourself, especially when you yourself, about why you really should stop this crazy thing right now, why this really wasn't a good idea. And then plow on through to the end and go to bed without eating anything for that day. And then wake up the next morning and woo. So if you found this video, you know what to do. Like, subscribe. If you know someone who would enjoy or benefit from this video, if you could think of anyone you'd like the challenge to, send them the link. As always, if you have any questions, please post them and I'll respond in the post. So in the description of this week's recording, I'll post the link to last week's episode, Productivity Principle number 1, the link to the recording I did about my recent 36-hour fast and my experiences, and the link to register for this live workshop. So quick reminder, if you haven't already registered and you want to learn how to level up your productivity in bite-sized chunks, then you're invited to this workshop. So each week I feature instantly actionable steps you can take to double your productivity, overcome procrastination, and get your shit done. So just hit the link in the description of this week's recording to register. And it's now time to open up the floor for Q&A. All right. Hello, Morris.
Hey, Stephen. How are you today?
So are you going to take the 36-hour fast challenge, Morris?
It's interesting that you recommend this. I used to fast every Monday. Like Monday was my day where I don't eat. I started that a couple of years ago. But, even though I was doing it for quite a long time, it always takes willpower.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it was for you last Friday, but at one point I just stopped, right? Because it was like I proved to myself that like the longest I didn't eat was like 2 full days. So like dinner on Sunday and then Monday, Tuesday, no food. And then Wednesday, like late morning, I would break the fast. I don't know. It's not something that became easier for me over time. How was it for you? Like, do you do fast often?
So I actually it's an intermittent fast. It's they call it the 18-6. So I don't eat anything past, say, 6 o'clock, at the latest 7 o'clock in the evening. And then the next morning, I don't break my fast until 11 or 12. So there's an 16 to 18 hour period where I'm not eating. And then there's a window of like 6 to 8 hours where I do eat. So I switched to that a couple of years ago, and that's not that hard for me. It took me a little while to get used to it, but now I really don't get hungry until around 11:30, 12 o'clock. So, and in the past, I have done the 36-hour fast. I've never done one longer than that, but my experience when I did it, and I'll put the link to the recording, I haven't quite edited it, was, it's not just a walk in the park. I did ham it up, and I tried to do a fairly funny video where as performance, I start off going, oh yeah, this will be easy. And then I deteriorated over the course of the day. But it's, it's challenging.
It's a mental thing. The body does, unless you have some medical, like really medical condition, a normal healthy human being, you can not eat for a couple of days. It doesn't matter. The body,
and there are actually
your addiction to food.
Yeah, there are 3 or 4 specific health benefits that, for, like you said, unless you have some specific medical condition, that it's actually a good thing to do. Clears your system out. There's a pretty good amount of research that it actually increases your lifespan, a certain amount of fasting. So, and I was thinking about, maybe I do want to try to incorporate this into really a weekly exercise. But the main reason I did it and talked about recommended it here, and I got this idea from Eben Pagan to use this exercise as a teaching moment for coaches and coaching clients to help people who weren't already kind of tuned into the fact that It's not, you don't necessarily have as much conscious control over your moment to moment thoughts and activities as most people think. Now, if you've ever done any amount of meditation, you probably already know that, because the first time you start sitting down to do some kind of mindful meditation, monkey mind just goes nuts and you start going, wow, look at that. Look at all those thoughts.
Yeah, my monkey mind is insane, right? I'll take you up on the challenge. I'll take you up on the challenge. Yes. I'll record a video showing all the things that I'm not eating.